Hello. How are you all? I'm just letting everybody come in. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi, Maureen.
Hello, my dear. How are you? You look amazing.
Well, I have to plug my headphones in. I realize I can't hear you. Okay, I think I can hear you now.
I said hello and you look amazing.
Thank you. You know, I love to hear that. How's the sound? Is the sound okay? Okay, excellent, excellent. Oh my God, it's so nice to see all of you. Hi, Katrina. Hi, Jen.
Hello.
Let everybody in. Hey, Tiffany.
I'm just gonna take my video off. I'm gonna be driving. Just got done with volleyball, so.
Oh, that sounds lovely. I think I should probably. Let's see. Nadia's here. Amazing. All right. I'm so excited about this. I'll give folks a few more minutes. How's everyone doing out there? It's a loaded question right now. There's no easy answer. Shavit, is that how I say your name? Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're very close. It's actually Shavite.
Shavite.
Yeah, I changed it in there, so hopefully you can see it. But there's not an H in it, but you pronounce it like Shavite. So
Shavite. Okay, thank
yeah,
you
but
so
you got
much. That's a beautiful name.
Oh, thank you.
Also, I love your doggy.
Yeah, I mean, not to be Debbie Downer, but he passed away last year. So I just keep that picture up because he's a handsome boy.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad to have his memory and energy with us.
Yeah, he's a good dog.
Yeah, yeah. Ashley, I'm glad you were able to make it. Yay. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Okay, let's see. Who are we doing on time? All right, it's been 5 minutes, so beautiful backdrop. Love it. Okay, I'm gonna light a candle because that feels festive. And let's get started, shall we? I have one of these thingies, and you have to really work at it. It's not a very good one. Okay, so the candle lighting might not happen. All right. Thank you all so much for coming. So I'm going to briefly introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Kylie Caldwell, and the work that I am consistently interested in holding is the space of shadow work, or what I sometimes call monster work, which is to say, to find the parts of ourselves. Oh, thank you, Katrina. I was struggling with the lighter. She's got the candle. To find the parts of ourselves that we are afraid of or uncomfortable with or have historically rejected or been taught to reject, and find a way to actually bring them in. And in the process of witnessing those parts of ourselves, recognize those are often the sources of our greatest strength, and generally find this process of coming home to ourselves and recognizing and remembering that we are whole. And I do a lot of this work around money because it's a space in which a lot of us are fucking stressed out all the time. Spoiler alert, I do swear all the time if you're new to me, so I apologize ahead of time. I've hosted a version of this workshop before, and I'm really excited for this particular moment because it feels like the world is on fire. You know, it's been on fire for a while, but it's a new iteration of it. And I know I live here in America. I have been feeling the weight of it. And so I really today want to bring these two places together, right? What does it mean for us to create and embody safety around money in a way that begins to extricate ourselves from these kind of bigger, icky, systemic structures that are not serving any of us. In addition to bringing shadow work, or what I sometimes call monster work, honestly, just because I think it sounds fucking cooler and people go, huh? I also bring in Akashic energy work. So it's, to me, it's around using mindset work to kind of shake some things loose and then bringing in magic and energy work to actually shift and clear and release that energy. And I find the combination of those two things to be super, super potent. Anyone have any questions about any of that before I get started? Okay. So the place that I want to start is I want to invite all of you to ask yourself and share in the comments what brought you here today. What was the thing that made you say, yes, that's the workshop that I want to participate in? Or if you're watching the replay, same. Self-love. Oh, I love that answer, Katrina. Yes. I'm going to start writing down some of the things we share. Because either you can also, let's see. Shavite says, the eclipse season for big change and money is a big piece of it for me. Jen says, I've been unlearning old beliefs for the past year and much of it has to do with work and money. Aw, Nadia says, because you're a magical being and I wanted to be in your energy. Plus money is a crunchy thing for me right now. Thanks, Nadia. You're a magical being also. Yeah, money is crunchy. That's the other thing. Money is crunchy for a lot of us right now, right? Like gas prices are high, inflation is high, groceries are expensive. Like there is, the other thing that I really am interested in is combining the magical with the practical, right? And one of the things that I think is really complicated in spiritual communities is the temptation to spiritually bypass, right? We know that we are deeply potent, powerful creatures and beings who have infinite magic at our fingertips. And also we can sometimes use that knowing to gaslight ourselves or be gaslit. And that's when we hear these stories around like just being high vibe, right? Or like pressuring ourselves to like have all the fucking answers. And then if you don't have money, it's your own fault, and pull yourself up by your spiritual bootstraps. And so what I want to do is kind of thread the needle for us between the ways in which we may be experiencing very real financial scarcity or just looking to create more emotional space around money with within the context of being magical, if that makes sense. Okay, so Nicole says, been peeling back layers around money issues for a few years and I keep hitting blocks, so I want to keep digging deeper. Maureen says, I'm always learning better ways to receive. Little by little, I'll get it right. Money is love for me in a big way. That's how I choose to charge it. I'm conscious of that choice. I want to be in a space of money love. Oh, I love this so much. Okay, I'm tired of the negative money story that's running throughout my life. And Ashley says, bringing the magic I witness daily energetically as a medium into my money story, along with my desire to deeply provide care for my mom, who's recently diagnosed with a degenerative brain disorder. She lives far away, and I don't want to ask money permission to care or visit for her. Ooh, yeah, that's big. And I think this, especially Ashley share at the end here, I think points to exactly where I want us to go with money, right? Which is looking at the way in which it has such a real impact in our lives. And also, how can we tap into the energy and play with the energy of money from a place of being infinite, even as it has this very material, crunchy aspect to it, if that makes sense, which I think it will as we go further into this. So I want to speak for a moment, taking this question of like, what brought you here? And I want us to think about the energy of intention and intention setting, right? Because in many ways, what you all did just now is set an intention, right? Which is like, I'm sorry, let me plug in my laptop. Pardon me for being a little bit scattered, but I just realized I really got going, the laptop. So, oh, we got people in the waiting room. Okay. Oh, it's my mama. Okay. Hello. Hi, Annabelle. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so happy to see you.
Did it. Perfect timing for me tonight.
I'm so glad. And also,
Yeah.
I owe you an email and I didn't forget. I will write back to you.
No,
And hi,
I wasn't worried. I knew you're here. Thanks for being here.
hi, Mama. Hi, Annabelle. Welcome. So, so we just shared, just to catch you guys up, we just were sharing about kind of what brought us here, and folks were writing in the comments the things that brought them here to this workshop tonight. And what I was saying is, in that moment, what you're doing is setting an intention, right? You're deciding what you're declaring, what it is about your relationship with money that you are witnessing and perhaps would like to shift or evolve or expand into. And I want us to start with this idea of intention because it's really, really potent, right? You've all, I'm sure, heard the idea that it's not about what you do, it's who you are being, right? I even have a little bee tattoo on my wrist to remind me of this, right? That it is our being that drives everything we experience, and our actions are in many ways, well, in many ways they're, I want to say they're irrelevant, which I know sounds kind of, that can feel uncomfortable, but they are irrelevant in so much as our being drives everything. So for example, think of making a donation, right? It's a charity, say it's a charity that's really near and dear to your heart, and you're really excited to give a donation. That is a money exchange that is full of love and warmth and generosity. Say you feel guilted by the friggin' PTO and you don't have the money, and also you feel judged, and you are, and my kids aren't in school, so this is not a personal example, but you feel like somehow twisted and obligated to donate money. Energetically, those are really different experiences, even though the action is exactly the same, right? So what we, and when we think about all the ways in our life that we are acting with intention, it is always our intention that shapes things, right? Think of any act of generosity that you might do, right? Whether it's helping a friend move or listening to someone who's having a hard time. And I want to invite you to imagine what it feels like when you're so fucking happy to be doing that thing. Right? I want to imagine, to drop into your body how good it feels when it is as an act of service that you just feel happy to do for whatever reason. There's no constraint or condition attached to it. And think of how it feels, and imagine how that energy lands for the person who is receiving it. You got that? You can kind of feel that energy in your body, right? Your intention is like, yeah, let's do this and let's do it together. Now I want you to think about a similar act of generosity that comes from a place of obligation and perhaps resentment, right? The kind of thing where you're like, I am tired, I don't feel good, but I feel guilty bailing, or I don't think you're a very good friend, but I don't know how to get out of this situation, so I'm going along with it anyway, right? Where your intention feels murky and you feel torn between basically wanting to choose to take care of yourself and feeling obligated to give to others. And now I want you to drop into how that energy feels, that kind of giving, when the intention is of a different energy, and imagine how it also feels for the other person on the other end, right? I don't want to make either of these wrong, to be super clear, but I want to establish the way in which our intention has really big impacts, right? And so when we think about our money, we spend a lot of time talking about mindset and healing stories, and I love doing that, and I will do that all day long. But tonight I kind of wanted to spend some time thinking about what is our intention, as in our focus and our desire and our energy and our commitment as it relates to our money story, because I think that has a really potent impact on how we experience money and how we experience the safety, lack of safety, consistency, etc. So does that make sense so far? This idea of like the different energetic imprints of intention. And does anyone have any questions or thoughts that they want to share so far? Okay. The reason why I think this is really important, this idea of intention. So now that you kind of unofficially set an intention, now we're getting some clarity. Yes, Shavite was pointing out that there was a little feedback. So I just put a couple folks on mute. So please feel free. I love for these things to be really conversational and dialogue. So please feel free to take yourself off mute. And if you have any questions or comment or thought, right? It's more fun when we do this together. So, okay. So we have this idea of intention. I want us to spend some time today thinking about our intention, our focus, our kind of energetic imprint when it comes to money, and maybe getting some clarity around it, and maybe refocusing it if need be. So a question for everybody. So that's my intention for us. So a question for everybody. If you drop in, so I really love when I say drop in, I will sometimes very consciously bring my attention from my mind down. Like I literally like watch my own energy kind of trickle down into my heart space or my belly so that I'm moving out of my mind, because we do tend to spend a lot of time in our mind, right? So if you drop in and you think of the emotions that come up with money. So I want to guide us to drop in a little bit deeper so we can get some clarity, right? Recognizing, so you can close your eyes and just begin taking some deep breaths. Recognizing that our mind loves to run the story, and the other parts of ourselves, our body and our soul, they have much greater wisdom to share. So we are breathing into the belly. We are softening our shoulders and our toes. And we are inviting the mind to just fade a little bit and just watch your own energy as if it is water kind of flowing through a little fountain from your mind down through your jaw and your neck, watching your energy trickle through your shoulders, down into your heart. Perhaps this is where your energy wants to pool, or maybe it feels good to go all the way down into the belly or deeper into the root. And just breathe into this place, taking a few deep breaths. And just inviting yourself to fall in. And in this place, ask your body, what emotions come up with money? If you think of money and the relationship you hold, I invite you just to experience and observe whatever feelings might be there. And if you can label them, label them. And if you can't, just let them flow and witness. Just asking the body, what does safety feel like as it comes to money? How does love feel like money? And what are the sensations for you as you tune in to your emotional relationship to money? And stay here for as long as you'd like. Just witnessing, acknowledging that there is tremendous potency just in the witnessing, and then begin ever so gradually to come back, to bring your awareness back. And if it feels right and you want to drop in the comments or speak out loud, come off mute and speak out loud, you're more than welcome to, what emotionally you recognize as you drop into the relationship you have with money in this moment.
I am very angry with money right now. And I feel like when I was dropping in, I felt like angst, like what anxiety feels like. And then my eyes, this eye has been twitching for like 3 weeks, if anyone has any remedies. But literally it's been twitching and it did that. So it's probably connected to this, I guess, probably. Just speak, and it does speak to the social constructs of how you were kind of talking about that, because I get really angry. Like even my best friend has a son who has muscular dystrophy, and like there's a cure for that, but there's not enough money for it.
Yeah.
Right? Because of the rareness of his condition. There are because of the money, there has been a treatment and a way to help other people with muscular dystrophy to overcome it, but not him, because the money's not there. So it's just, it like with my mom's medical stuff going on, and just like, am I safe? I'm safe with money in my life. Like I have desires. I desire a bigger house and I desire things, but I have everything that I need. But when it comes to like living out my desire, I get angry when I have to ask permission to money to experience something or to be able to help in ways that I want to help in the world.
Yeah. That's fucking huge. And also I feel like speaks, what you're saying to me is such a incredible microcosm for this also collective moment, right? Which is like body, health, autonomy, power, and money. All, no wonder your eye is twitching, right? Like you're like experiencing in your intimate circle something that's so deeply resonant with what we are collectively experiencing. Does that resonate with anyone? Can anyone relate to what Ash? I saw a couple people nodding. Yeah, Annabelle, do you want to share anything? Not to put you on the spot. Snaps are perfect.
Snaps. Yeah, no, I definitely am resonating with what you're saying, Ashley. A lot of like anger is coming up from just like the way I was raised. Fully transparently, I grew up like living below the poverty line. Still very happy as a kid, you know, blessed with a loving family, but that relationship has kind of, I've been working on healing it and shifting my relationship with money, and I've definitely come a long way, but it still was like in the back of my mind, the injustice of it, where it's like, what? Like, doesn't make any sense. It's not like there isn't enough money. There is, but it's just distributed in such a way where many people, you know, like what Ashley was saying, right? But also, it was funny. I was like picturing money as we dropped in, and money showed up as like this really old, tired, jaded, like alien smoking a cigarette, just like with a French accent, just like, what do you want now? Like, hello, you know, just tired of
Oh my gosh.
my shit,
Annabelle, I love that
basically.
so much.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
reminds me, just as an aside, my friend Vanessa, I think it's next week, she's doing a workshop where she's gonna walk you through meeting your money guide. and it's gonna be great. I feel like you just did that. Yours is a French jaded alien, so fucking great.
Just taking a drag of a cigarette, just like, like
Oh my
the
gosh.
face. Yeah.
Ugh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
But it was interesting because it was like you want me, you don't want me, you want me, you don't want me kind of. That's what I got from them, from that experience, which is true. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. 1,000 times yes. Okay. So I mean, I am also very excited by this theme around like power and injustice as it relates to money. I think it makes sense that that's kind of rising to the surface in this moment. And I think this kind of nuanced relationship of wanting and not wanting at the same time, wanting parts of it, not wanting other parts of it, I think is also super, super fucking common. And we were talking about intention and the murkiness of our intention, right? When our intention is clear, like, I want to be here, I want to give to you. Yes, done. Versus when our intention is this kind of complicated thing of like, I want this and I also don't want it, or I want this and I also want something else. And I don't want to make that wrong because it just fucking is. And also murky intentions create murky experiences, right? So how do we also just create increasing clarity around our intent? Oh, hold on, I got somebody else in the waiting room. Okay. Let's see, just gonna read the comments. Welcome, Coney. So happy you're here. Just to catch you up, we were walking through, we did a little drop into our body to really witness our relationship and the emotions that come up around money in this moment. And we're doing a little bit of a share now. So Maureen says, my whole body is tightening up and there's a ball of anxiety in the pit of my stomach, witnessing you, loving you. Nicole saying tension and anxiety, subtle fear, maybe even grief, deep in my belly, throat, back of neck, between my shoulder blades. And then Terry is saying, reprogramming my mindset on money and how it works in my life and what I learned as a child. Yeah. Okay. Anybody
Mine's all
else?
very different. Do you want to hear some of it?
Yes, I do. I had a spidey sense. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so for me, when I drop into my body, like money for me, and I've done a lot of work on this, but I actually think I've done a lot of work on like stripping away any of the things that I was taught or that I bought and sold myself about money. And that's been happening over a decade. So for me, I believe like in my head, money is really neutral, but I've given it a lot more significance just by choice, which I kind of mentioned in the comments before. So for me, money is actually really sexy. Like it's got a sexy energy and it's like dirty in a good way. And it's luxurious and it's delicious. And for the most part, I feel really good about it. And like, I feel kind of at home with it, but there's also this minor fear of it being taken away. And so that kind of sits with me, this minor fear of it being taken away. And when I was sitting with this, and also actually from earlier when you were going to pull a card, but actually just did a reading for me on the spot, which was so bang on, and that energy shift as well that you did for me. There is also like, I mostly have, so when I said like safety with money, when you were talking about safety with money, and I was saying that to myself, the instant message I got from the universe was, I need to break up with my parents' story around money. And my parents generally have a fairly positive story, but it's just not my story. So it was like, there was dissonance sitting there. And then for me, love does feel like money. So it's bubbly, sparkly, and relieving. So here's where the like more of that dissonance comes up though, is that I sit in this world where it's not okay to be like, money is amazing and I love it, because you know what happens when you do that? People like come for you. They're like, that's great for you. Which is funny because I love holding space for other people's stories about money, and I totally appreciate that. So there's this nagging fear, like slightly about like, that's great that you love money, but like, don't say anything. Keep your mouth shut, which is exactly what I'm speaking now. So I was like, oh, actually, maybe I will speak up.
Yes, keep your happiness under fucking wraps, right? As opposed to like witnessing all these people nodding along. What you're doing in this moment, in this space, is like speaking like spaciousness and possibility to people who are like, oh, okay, that's the thing I want, right? Right. If there's anyone here who isn't in that moment, you speaking that is like giving them permission. and I suspected that you had a different experience also because you spoke in the beginning to like money as like money and love having this like kind of delicious energy together for you. I had a thought and it seems to have floated away. Oh, okay. I wanted to say, I'm going to make a note of something. Hold on. This is when my brain starts going in 7 directions at once. So just bear with me a moment. Okay. So what I want to speak to, just building off of Katrina's share just for a moment, and then we'll get back to going around the group, is I think there are a couple really key buckets to look at as it comes to kind of deprogramming your money stories that we're not going to do here in this workshop. I've done them in other workshops. I'm going to speak to them now. We'll do them in the membership, which I'll speak to about, I'll tell you about that at the end. But I want to just speak to them now because I think for those of you who, it might be helpful to recognize a couple of different buckets. So if you are in a place of wanting to deprogram your money story or like shift the way in which money shows up for you, some really potent places are looking at your parents' money story, right? I know Terry and I have talked about this before. That's one of the things Katrina was saying, like, even if your parents don't have a particularly complicated money story, it might not be yours, right? So one really potent place is like, you know, I'll speak a personal example. My dad is a commercial fisherman. And so we grew up without a lot of money and also a lot of energy of like, oh, the next big haul is going to be like, that's going to be our break. I just need like one good fishing trip. And so there was always this idea in our house of money being like just one big break away. And in my early chapters of having my own business, my husband actually pointed out to me that he was like, you know, you do the exact same thing as your dad, right? Like the big break is always right around the corner. And so we can just subconsciously map our parents' money stories, again, even if they're not particularly bad money stories. So that's one place. The other thing that I think is really, really, really juicy place, which again, we're not going to do here tonight, but I totally encourage you to do, is to look at the relationship that you have with your parents and primary caregivers and the model that they gave you around how love and care are exchanged. Because as we move in the world, money is the thing we use to meet our needs, right? Like groceries, you use money. Shelter, you use money. So it becomes the direct map for how we understood that needs get to be met, right? So if your parents, for all of they might have done a great job, they're like might have been doing their very best. If they gave you a complicated story around the way in which love is exchanged, you are very likely playing that out in your relationship to money, right? So unpacking those stories of like, what was the cost? What did I have to give up to have my needs met? What are the ways my needs weren't met? And then looking at money, I guarantee you will have some really big breakthroughs. So that's one, if you want to keep going with this on your own, that's like my homework assignment to you all. But I do want to keep, let's see, we got, okay. Okay. Always looking for the big break. Has anyone read Millionaire Mind? I have not. Okay. Does anyone else want to share what came up for them as they kind of dropped into their experience or story as it relates to money in this moment?
I can share.
Yeah, please.
So it was kind of interesting listening to the others say they had anger around money because resentment and anger hold a very similar frequency, but I was kind of a little bit taken back by the resentment, and it wasn't necessarily resentment for the way money is used at large, because I feel like, you know, I'm aware of that, and it's not necessarily my thing, but it's like a resentment that I have towards money for being this like elusive thing that just I can't seem to quite get.
Mm-hmm.
I can't seem to quite get it. Even having done all of the work and all of the trauma work and all of the mindset work, it's just still feels a little bit slippery and a little bit elusive. And for that reason, I have like a resentment again, like with it in my body. And I can see how that's probably not conducive of calling in more money.
Okay, I love this so much. Okay, a brief soapbox on anger. I mean, those of you who've been paying attention to me for a little while know that whenever anyone talks about an uncomfortable emotion, I'm like, oh, goody, let's go there, right? Poor Maureen had to deal with me one-on-one when we really did that. Even worse, Liz is even worse. So Liz is my magic circle partner, and she's even worse about this than I am. So you're talking about anger and resentment, and I'm like, oh yes, let's go there. So the idea is like, oh, my anger, my resentment, my bitterness, my frustration, my angst, this must be my fear, this must be in the way of me making more money, or me feeling safe with money, or me having access to a different flow of resources, right? This is such a common experience. Like, I'm fucking pissed and I have to find a way to fix the fact that I'm angry because then I can have money. Put another way, what we're telling ourselves in that moment is, I have to get my emotions in order. I have to be presentable in order for money to love me. I can't be messy and angry and confused and frustrated and also be taken care of. I can only be right and proper. I can only follow the rules. And some of us might have expanded the rules, right? Perhaps we started with a rule book that was like, you can only have money if you work really fucking hard, and even then there won't be enough. And maybe now your money story has shifted, but you might still be carrying a story that's telling you, I have to be a certain kind of way in order to have what I need. Right. And so our emotions, the uncomfortable and the icky ones, become the things that are wrong and need to be fixed. Even as we might witness them, there's a way of like, okay, I gotta like move through the anger, right? I have to like dissolve it, or we just want to avoid it because it's not always very fun and comfortable, right? And so this brings us to the one of the pieces that I want to speak to around intention, which is shifting us from an intention that we have something to fix as it relates to money, to a deeper intention of actually embodying our fucking wholeness and our ability to, how do I want to say this? Sorry. The ways in which we are allowed to be taken care of, even as we are a fucking mess as human beings, right? And for a lot of us, that's probably not comfortable. Like, how many of you, when you have big, scary emotions come up, like go and like deal with them privately and then come back, right? Like who here has cried in a bathroom before, right? Like we have a tendency, even those of us who are beautiful at witnessing our emotions, still tend to think of them as things that we need to tend to secretly and privately, and then we can perhaps come back and be presentable, right? And maybe we're vulnerable afterwards of like, oh, I went through this big transformation, but I got it taken care of now, right? So what I want to create for us is an energetic shift from I have to fix something, and healing can be a sneaky like code word for fixing. So we can be mindful of that, to like, I am actually just dropping into my own wholeness. And we'll fall into this a little bit more, but I think that's the big shift that I want to kind of speak into existence for us today. So if we think about we thought about our intention, what brought us here. We witness kind of the emotions that come up as it relates to money and the ways in which they may be complicated, some of which may be more complicated than others. I want to kind of like chapter break and pivot slightly for a moment. But before I do that, I want to pause and see if anyone has any questions or thoughts or additional things that they feel like they want to share before we pivot to the next section. No, we're good? Okay. So I want to again bring us back into like that kind of quasi, like that embodiment state, right? So we're going to do that same or similar exercise of dropping in, but I'm going to ask us to witness our emotions about something different. So if you want to close your eyes, get comfortable, and just begin taking a few deep breaths. Witnessing any softening or tension, witnessing any excitement or discomfort, and just letting your energy fall into you. I want to invite you to, as you breathe in, imagine that the earth is rising up to meet you. That as you breathe in, the earth is sending some energy up to greet you. So as you breathe in, the earth's energy washes over your toes and your ankles and up your shins. And then you exhale and the energy falls back down to the earth. And on the next inhale, there's a wave that comes up all the way, this time to your knees and your thighs. And on the exhale, the wave releases. And you can imagine that each time it's like this gentle bath, right, where you are being bathed in warm, nourishing energy. And then as you exhale, anything excess is just floating away. On the next inhale, watch the wave of the earth rise all the way up to your hips and let it swirl for a moment in the space between your hips, moving and churning and sorting out. And then release, exhale. All of this excess energy flows to the earth. This time we inhale and the energy comes all the way up to our womb, our bellies. If we have wombs, if we do not, it is the space of our belly. And letting it sit there. Breathing in, feeling the potency of the earth as it fills and nourishes us, and know that we are held. And exhale, watch everything fall away. And let the rest of the energy rise up to our throat or through our heart. And exhale, release. Watch this energy rise all the way up to our throat. And feel our shoulders soften as we exhale. Inhale all the way up to the third eye. Exhale, dissolving all the way down. And on the last inhale, feeling the energy flow all the way up to the crown of our head. Feeling it washing. And then exhale, release. And falling all the way back into you. In your own time and pace, taking a few deep breaths. Bringing your awareness to a place in the body, perhaps the heart, perhaps the belly. And as you breathe, just feeling into the potency of you held and of you holding you. And in this space, in this dropping in, I invite you to fall into the intimacy you hold with the infinite, with the cosmos, with divine, with source. I invite you to fall into how fully and completely you feel connected to all that is. and witness the emotions and experience that sing back to you as you fall into the intimacy that is you and the infinite, you and the cosmic, you and the divine. Some ways I think I could keep you here for the rest of the evening and we would all be content. And if that really calls to you, I want to invite you to just log off and float. For anyone else, I want to invite you to begin the journey back here to the material. Maybe you begin by wiggling your shoulders or tapping your foot. Breathing deep. And whenever you're ready, ever so slowly open your eyes and come back. In this moment, I'm curious to know, how would you describe that experience? What emotions come up for you as you feel yourself falling into the infinite? You can come off mute or you can write it in the comments, whatever feels right. Love, expanse, peace.
I didn't really feel any emotions. It actually just felt like I just was.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I just was. Yeah.
I fucking love that. Yeah. You were everything and no thing. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly, Terry is doing wild healing when she falls into the infinite. You don't know Terry, her healing is just off the charts and beautiful. Lots of grief, but I'm working through some of that right now. That makes a lot of sense. Actually, just as an aside, Shivit, I interviewed for our podcast this afternoon a woman who just has published a book called Grief is Love. And she is incredible. And so if you're moving through grief, that's like my new recommendation to everyone. It was such a beautiful book. I haven't read the book, but she's incredible. So I have no doubt that the book is incredible. Katrina says, like being connected up, but feel a little off with connection to the earth. Just a little off. Okay. Yeah. I totally can resonate with that. Ooh, that sounds really beautiful work as grief counselor. In that case, absolutely get this book. I think you'll really, really love her and her work. Anyone else want to share about their, I love Annabelle. I love surfing the void. It's my favorite. It's the best. Yeah. So, okay. All of you are here because you have deep spiritual connections, right? Like you're here because you are entrepreneurs, business owners, or have the desire to grow a business, and you are deeply spiritual. And the reason I wanted to give us both of these journeys is to recognize, in a way that you already intellectually recognize, the dissonance between, like, we fall into the infinite. I use the word infinite. You can use divine source, like plug in your own word. We fall into the infinite and we just are, right? To use Jen's word, we just exist in that moment, right? We fall in and there's peace, there's security, even grief we can experience as love and transcendence, because we are connected to everything in that moment, right? And then we come over to money and it's like, you know, the contraction occurs often, not always. I want to give you a moment to just recognize and witness it. Either you can either speak to it or you can put in the comments, just anchor in for yourself how different those two energies felt. Not making one right or wrong, right? All things just are, right? But just recognizing for yourself the depth, the richness, and however money showed up for you. When you are someone who is profoundly spiritual, when you are someone who's here with a deep commitment to yeah, Shavit is saying expansive versus tight. That's a beautiful explanation. When you are living an embodiment that is like, I am like a divine being walking on the earth. I am I am God and human. I am infinite and mortal. When you're here having this, like when you're someone who's committed to your spiritual practice, your soul, the deeper, wiser part of you, only wants you to be having these transcendent experiences, right? Not in a not only wants. Let me pause. Your soul is hungry for you to experience the depth of you, right? Your soul is interested in you experiencing the depth of you, which you just tapped into. The problem with money is that we have been given a board game and told this is reality, right? The problem with money is that capitalism, patriarchy, the matrix, whatever the fuck you want to call it, is a game. It's a game with terrible side effects, right? It's like, what was that terrible show? Squid Games. It's like Squid Games, right? It's like not a good game. It's not like a fun game, but it is a game in the sense that it is not, when you fall into the infinite, that is our true nature, right? And I'm going to use capitalism, but again, you can slot in racist patriarchy, the matrix, whatever you want. When we are playing the game of money from a place of when we are given this game and told, here you go, try to win this game. The problem is the moment you engage with it, you've lost, which, like, hi, I've engaged with it plenty, right? 37 years and counting, right? But when the moment we engage with this game, thinking that this game of money are the confines, we have lost, because we have lost our direction, because our direction is what you just felt. Our direction is being infinite. Our direction is being expansive love. Our direction is not the smallness of, can I desperately be safe, right? Becca has just said something beautiful. I'm finding so much anger at myself for not figuring out how to play the game and support myself. Yeah, that's what happens, because the game, this game of this game of capitalism is set up so that oftentimes, even as we are winning, we're winning at the expense of other people. That's just the nature of capitalism. So your soul is like, well, we don't want to play that game. And even as you are winning, you often end up losing sight of what you are actually here to create, which is the experience of being infinite, right? So what happens is our soul will actually, I believe, create moments of financial constriction, not as punishment, not because you need to heal something, but because it's trying to like redirect us to this perspective of, oh, right, I am fucking infinite. I am everything. And the complicated nuance is how to hold the energy of being everything, of falling into that expansiveness, while also allowing yourself to be taken care of, right? So often I feel a little like I'm doing like often what ends up happening. I'm also wanting to read the comments. So there's many things happening at the same time. So I'm going to pause and read the comments. Okay. So the game is rigged, but you don't realize it until you spend a shit ton of your life trying to stay in it. Yes. I have the wisest mama, everybody. Then it's redefining your, when I first started and my mom would come to things, I would pretend that she wasn't my mom because I thought that was weird, but true secrets out now. Okay. Sorry, I'm being ridiculous. It's like redefining your beliefs. Interesting. Terry saying your soul is interested in our ego, ourselves, to move out of our own way. Money becomes the chase. Yes, 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 yes. So what I want to speak to for us, the metaphor that keeps showing up for me is when we engage with money from the place of, can I just have enough? Or can I win this game? When our focus is here, down on the game of trying to make money work for us, or trying to figure out how we perform properly for money, we are here and we're looking down at like a little puddle. It turns out if we walk across the parking lot, the whole fucking ocean is right there, right? But we get confused and we're stuck looking at the puddle saying, how can there possibly be enough? Because we're looking down thinking that this space is thinking that this space is all that exists, right? And we forget that we are everything, or we forget that how we forget how to bring being everything back to this silly little puddle that we're having to play at. Does this make sense so far? Are you following along with me? Okay, let me read a few more comments. So I think the question for us, the thing that I want to speak to is, how do we engage with money from this place of remembering that we're fucking infinite, right? How do we play this game of embodying an expansiveness so that we can witness our anger, our frustration, our resentment, and also move beyond the game, right? This is where the magic of intention comes in, okay? When your intention around money is that you need to fix something or improve something or somehow become a better version of yourself, you are automatically playing a game that does not serve you. When your story about money, when your intention as it relates to money is that you are a thing that needs to be fixed, you are creating a cycle for yourself that is you're in the puddle, right? Because you are in that moment speaking into existence that you are not whole, right? I need to fix that I am, I need to fix in some way, right? So how do we shift our intention? So, okay, so actually what I want to do in this moment then, I want to ask you to look back at your intention as it relates to money and just acknowledge if it has an energy of fixing in it. I want to make nothing wrong. We are just on a fucking journey, right? So think to your intention as it relates to money and just witness in your body, in your soul, in yourself, if it has fixing energy attached to it. I'll give you a moment. And if so, you can feel free to call out where the fixing energy wants to show up. Where you and money, or you are a problem vis-a-vis money in your own kind of story or intention. Does this make sense, this question? Okay. Sometimes I ask questions where I say like 7 things at once and I lose people. So please just raise your hand if you're like, you've gone off the rails, Caldwell.
So can I ask a question?
Please.
So if I'm thinking about my intention, even though there's anger around the way things are.
Mhm.
But the intention is love and care and experiencing
Mhm.
whatever it is I want to experience. So to me, that means there's no needing to fix me
Mhm.
in order to, I don't feel like there's any, do you see where I'm
I
going?
do.
Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
my intention
Absolutely.
is like, being able to care for other people and myself and experience in the world what I want to experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So, right. This is this is the thing
So
about
then it's like, well, why can't I just do that now?
so this is the thing about fixed energy, right? Is like also it's like, well, there must be a problem somewhere, and I don't see a problem, so I must be doing the assignment wrong, right? Like this is how insidious fixed energy is, right? We are so baked into the idea that we are a fucking problem that we constantly, even in having a moment of like, oh, I might be good here. This might be one that I'm all set on. It's like, oh, that must be a sign that I'm doing it wrong, right? Which just is to say, like, this is this idea that you're not a fucking problem to be fixed is really like the bedrock of everything that I want to give us permission for, right? This is just one tiny facet of it, right? Is this intention energy? And so I think the invitation for you is simply to witness, right? For example, okay, my desire, my intention around money is like, yeah, I want to fucking have a lot of it and I want to like make an impact in the world. And then just witness, is there something that shows up that tells you that the anger's in the way, that the anger's a problem, that the anger's the thing to be fixed? Maybe not, right? But just begin to observe when your fix itself starts to show up and see if you can drop beneath the fixing into the ocean. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think it's too, like, I think maybe it's just me or maybe other people resonate with the time thing. Like maybe it already is coming. Like I feel like it's already there, like it's already coming. It's just not there. I'm already doing, like I'm good. Sometimes I feel I do that. Like if I'm good, then I'm like, okay, well, there must be something. There must be something. So, but I've done, like, I'm doing the work and I will do it forever. Like it's there, like that's already there. A near-death experience 134 days ago, like brought me to like completely wide open, right? Like maybe I just need to let it come because it's coming.
Well, and this also makes me think of what Katrina shared at the beginning, which is like, when we feel good, when there's a way in which we're not worried and anxious about money, or some facet of it, then the thing we need to fix is like, well, don't feel too good, right? Like, right? Like, what if I just trusted? You know what? It actually feels
don't
available
tell
to me.
anybody.
Yeah,
like, don't tell anybody that you feel good about money.
Yeah, like you are morally obligated to be anxious and neurotic and uncomfortable about money all the time, right? And so if you possibly have even as we are so fucking hungry, we are like trudging through the desert, hungry to feel safe about money. And then we have moments where we feel safe and we think it's dangerous to feel safe, or I can't tell anybody that I feel safe because I will be ostracized, right? Like, so, so this comes back to the idea of like, another way to say like releasing fixed energy is to make no thing wrong, right? And how delicious of an invitation is it that the thing that you maybe don't have to feel wrong about is that there isn't a problem, right? Sometimes the thing that you don't want, that you want to invite to drop resistance about is that you're angry or bitter. But maybe in this moment for you, it's like, I think I actually feel like I'm going to be okay. And that's the thing that I get to just allow, what's coming up for the rest of you guys?
So when you talked about money and you talked about fixing it and things like that, what we're taught and what we also see throughout television and things like that is a general fear there is huge amounts of fear and within that programming around money. You never have enough. Americans aren't going to be able to buy a house because the interest rates are growing up. The market is shifting. All of these things. And then when you get angry about it, are you frustrated, hurt, or sad? Once you figure out if you're frustrated, well, then how do you fix your frustration? And then once you understand that it's an energy, how do you change it?
So here's where I love everything you're saying. Yes, 1,000%. All the messaging that you see is I mean, if you spend a day like auditing the insane messages around money, whether they're like things you hear from people or things people, our friends say to each other, or like the messages in the media, like they're all fear-based, right? Because we're not allowed to say, oh, you know what? It's okay. Money gets to be okay, right? Those conversations are off limits. And so there's a lot of fear, and then there's also a lot of secrecy and shame, right? So on the one hand, we can't speak to the ways in which we might be feeling okay and safe, and we also can't speak to shame, right? Like, oh my gosh, I am overdrawn in my account and I can't pay my credit card bill and I can't let anybody know, right? So there's all these things that we're not allowed to say, right? We can see how much of this energy is about not allowing, right? Permission not granted to feel what you actually fucking feel. And so it's all directed around fixing, right? It's all directed around like, be better, be different, right? Don't be too happy. Don't be ashamed. Don't be overdrawn. Don't be whatever you've saved is not the right amount. Like every way in which we are taught to engage with money is that you're already doing it wrong, right? And so much of our energy, and also if we zoom out from money, that's also just like, that's the fucking narrative of racist patriarchy, right? Is like your very existence is wrong, right? And so we are taught to embody from the very beginning this idea that we should be other, that we should fix ourselves, right? And that is the dissonance that we are experiencing, right? If you think of the incredible discomfort between being, we drop into the cosmic and the infinite and we're like, I never fucking want to leave, right? I don't want to be human. Fuck this. Get me out, right? Because we experience humanness as wrongness, right? To be infinite and cosmic and divine is exquisite. And then we drop into the human, and on all of the ways in which we are experiencing humanness, we have been led to believe are wrong, right? You are too much if you cry. You are like, not enough if you are hungry, like whatever it is, right? There's all these ways in which you are too much or not enough. And so we're constantly trying to like modify and contort ourselves and say like, okay, is this what you wanted? Like, am I standing on my one tippy toe properly balanced? Like, now can I have what I need, right? And one of the things that I think is really important, and tomorrow's workshop will be a like deeper journey, right? So today is a little bit of like the mindset setup, and we've done a little bit of energy work, and then tomorrow will be deeper journey. So we'll shake some of this, we'll move what we've shaken loose. But what I really want to speak to is this idea that what are the ways in which you can embody that there's nothing to fix? And one of the most profound ways so how can you set your intention away from, I am a problem to be fixed, to I am whole and infinite? Meaning not just I'm whole and infinite and I feel fucking great all the time. Shavit's share is actually the perfect example. When she tapped into the infinite, she felt tremendous grief. That is her experience in this moment, right? So the invitation is to drop into whatever you are feeling about money right now. And maybe it is delicious and abundant, and maybe you're bitter and angry, and allow that, and maybe you're both at the exact same time, and allow those emotions. And one of the sort of quickie meditations I might do is actually I sometimes imagine my body as like a system of like dams, and I just imagine like pulling up the levee, like pulling up all the dams so that the emotions can kind of flow, right? So that whatever you need to be feeling can be felt. And this practice of just witnessing and allowing, witnessing and allowing, witnessing and allowing is the thing that makes tremendous change. And most importantly, it is the thing your soul is hungry for, because that's the way you feel whole and infinite. You don't feel whole and infinite by like contorting and performing, right? Jen said it fucking perfectly. There wasn't even any emotion. It was every emotion at once. You just dropped in and you are, right? What you are hungry for as a human is to drop in and be. And 9 times out of 10, our problem with money is that we forget that we are allowed to just be with money. We think we have to figure out how to make this little puddle work, but we get to look up and be everything. And that includes all of our fucking complicated emotions. We don't have to be right for money. We can just give ourselves permission to exist as we fucking exist. Does this make sense? Is this landing? What's coming up for everybody?
It's so funny that this has happened, like this conversation, that I'm here, because I just made a post this morning about how manifestation is so complicated. And it's like your feelings, you like picking a better feeling and thought and emotions, and how they create beliefs, and beliefs create your reality, and like how all of this, it's so like complicated, and how I'm feeling something land for me that is just not complicated, and how I'm going to be teaching manifestation in a completely different way, because this ain't it. Like,
yes,
we need to evolve the way that manifestation is being taught, and it's not the way that it has been being taught. And
I might be crying with excitement right now. Yes, 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 yes.
And it was like, I literally was saying in my mind, like some of the same stuff that you're saying today, like how we don't have to like be trying to figure something else out other than what's happening. Like,
yeah.
it just doesn't make sense to do that. And that's how manifestation is taught right now. Like, it's confusing. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me anymore. Like, we are, as humanity evolves, like that way doesn't work anymore. And we're seeing that people aren't getting results from it anymore because it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yes, 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 yes. And oh my gosh, I couldn't. This is like a whole 2 out of the end of time. I can talk about this for like another 90 minutes.
I know.
Because I care so much about this. Just the other day, my friend was like, I'm going to piss you off, but I'm going to talk about manifestation, which is hilarious because like my whole space is like about creating business and money and all these things.
Yeah.
But a reason I'm so lit up by what you're saying is because, you know, often we get this rule book, right? The game book, where I was talking about the game. So we get the rule book for the game, and it's like, okay, go to a good school, work really hard, get a good job, impress your boss, right? And we have this rule book. And all of a sudden one day we like maybe have a spiritual awakening, and we realize like, wait a minute, like the world is bigger. I'm not just this tiny rule book, and we just get a new rule book and we call it manifestation. Right? It's still a list of like, you have to do this and then this and then this. Yeah. And if you do this list really good, it's a different list and maybe a more fun list, because full moon rituals are way more fun than like sitting in a fucking cubicle, but it's still a list, right? It's still like, perform appropriately, then you'll be good enough and you can get your cookie and your prize at the end. And what I want to say is like, yeah, toss all of the rule books in the fucking fire. Because what you are hungry for is experiencing the infinite self that is you in a human body. And that self gets to feel all the fucking feelings, and they're not wrong and they're not in the way.
I just wrote about how, well, why don't we just take our marbles and we're going to go to a new sandbox and tell everybody else to go fuck themselves. Okay, so why can't we do that in as women? And the age of Aquarius is about us standing up and becoming into our own power. It's about us moving through the fear. It's about us understanding. But here's the thing. We don't have to follow their rules. We can create our own.
Yeah. And
so what do we want our rules to look like?
I don't want any.
Because right, because it's not gonna work if this is the thing, right? So some of you were like, I don't understand why it's not fucking working for me. And the reason it's not working is because those aren't the rules, right? Like those rules are fake, and your soul knows those rules are fucking bullshit, right? So your soul's like, I'm not rewarding you for playing that dumb game because we are out, right? Like we came here for the motherfucking revolution, right? And just to give like my briefest soapbox about the revolution, this is where it happens, right? The micro is the macro, right? If you are looking at the world and wanting it to be other, you liberate yourself, right? You dissolve the separation and the self-inflicted punishment and the cruelty and the disempowerment as it lives inside your own body, and as within, so without. That's how we change everything, right? So this very work of allowing yourself, giving yourself radical fucking permission to exist and breathe as you are, I believe is the thing that ultimately makes the biggest difference. At the very least, it's the space I can hold, right? Like I will be at the protests, I will make great funny signs, and also like,
No, she froze.
Her energy was too strong, y'all. Zoom couldn't handle it.
So the only thing that I was going to add is that the only rules that we have to really do are the ones that the planet gives us, meaning like gravity, meaning like if you want help, you got to go find somebody else, not just finding it within, but you got to go find little Miss Ashley or whoever to go and do the own energy exchange with. And hopefully she gets back in a minute and she realizes that she froze.
Yeah, I think something that landed with me was not making yourself wrong. And rules can be helpful in the beginning, like kind of like bumper rails. But once you're in it, like you don't need the bumper rails. You can just go for it without the bumper rails. And really the only rules, I mean, like I don't like rules, so I'm really only limited by my own imagination. We're back.
I got so fired up, I broke my own internet, everybody. Thank you for holding down the fort while I was gone, everybody.
Yeah, we were just sitting here talking about that.
Perfect. Okay. So, Annabelle, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you were in the middle of saying something I'm sure truly delicious. Well, all I was going to say was that rituals are great. Rituals are great because they're play and they're fun, right? Like rituals, when we think rituals are rules, and we think like, oh no, I like left my, I forgot to charge my crystals on the full moon, now they won't work. Like that's when it starts to feel constricted and not fun. But when rituals get to be play, it's just the way, it's the props through which we remember that we're cosmic and infinite, right? Okay.
Yeah, I always look at ceremony and ritual as like your intention on steroids. It's just like the intention you put behind it is gonna just, so if you miss a full moon, like it's okay. I don't think any of us probably do rituals every single full moon and every single new moon. Like maybe I'm wrong, but I don't.
Yeah.
So y'all want a
I'm way
great
too
line?
chaotic for that. Yeah.
So do y'all want a great line to bring in your full moon, even though it's not the full moon? This was written by Lori Cabot probably 30 years ago, and she's the Witch of Salem. And it goes, sun, moon, planet, stars align yourselves compatibly. Let no reversal trouble me. As is my will, so mote it be.
I like that. It's funny. I will say though, the rule breaker in me and the former Catholic in me doesn't like, I can't actually recite anything that anybody else wrote. I get like all like itchy anytime. It can be the most beautiful thing ever, but if somebody else wrote it, I'm like, oh, that's not my truth, even if I totally love it. So I do love that, but I could also feel my like, man, I can't, that's not my words. Because when you're the Catholic ritual, which Catholics do nail ritual, but it's a lot of just anonymous call and response, and that part I didn't really love.
Yeah.
Okay. I could talk about this forever. I also want to be mindful of people's time, and we have tomorrow night as well. If you can't come tomorrow night, I will send out the replay. You will continue to get all the magic, but do come because it will be very fun. I want to take the last 2 moments just to speak to one of the reasons why I did this workshop. Besides the fact that I knew it would be fucking fun, is I have doors open right now for my membership. So the membership is called the Soulful Entrepreneur. I'll drop the link right here. And it is exactly, it's a lot of this, right? It's like looking at how we get to be entrepreneurs and business owners who are infinite and human at the same time. And how do we embody that? And how do we allow it to be fun and playful? How do we feel supported in community? How do we build strategies and use the tools, the prop, like, right? Because strategy is just the ritual prop of business, right? So how do we build the ritual prop that is strategy in a way that feels fun and exciting and nourishing? And how do we tend to our like mindset and energy in the inevitable ebbs and flows of growing and scaling a business? So the way it's structured is that every month at the start of the month, you'll get a lovely little bundle of audio, video, and journal prompts. So there'll be some channeled magic. There'll be some, like, you know, guided journey work and guided meditation. There'll be some of me soapboxing, if you will, and there'll be some journal prompts and exercises. So in the beginning of the month, you get a little bundle of content that I call Mindset and Magic. And then we'll have 2 live coaching sessions a month. So there'll be a lot like this, right? Some will lean more to the ritual, some will lean more to the dialogue and the conversation, but twice a month we'll come together in community and unpack whatever the theme for that month is. And then there's a whole full resource library of like energetic spiritual business practices. It's a whole course that I created and sold called Soul Centered Sales. That's just there for you to move through as you want that resource and support. So, oh, Nadia's, all right, yeah. So doors are open now, and they're only open until June 30th. And the rate is $27 a month. I really wanted to make it super accessible. I wanted it to just feel like if it is a yes for you, I wanted it to be a yes for you. Doors will probably open again in September-ish, but it won't be $27 again. This is the like, it's brand new, let's build something fucking great together rate. So if it speaks to you, I mean, I'm just super pumped about it, right? Because this is a moment where, you know, we're here for a big reason, and we're here to have these delicious, rich experiences. And I think delicious, rich experiences are more fun in community. And yeah, I just think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be playful and magical. And I can't wait. So the link is here in the comments. You can just go to my website. If you have any questions about it, shoot me a message and I'm happy to answer them. And I will see you again tomorrow. Any thoughts or questions or kind of final words you want to say to feel complete? No. Thank you. This was so nourishing. I really am so grateful to each of you. This was a delight. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.